Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, a viewer sent me 4 awesome knives, and rather than showing all 4 and pulling them all out at once and everything, I'm just going to do this each one at a time. And the first one is, this was sent by John M. So this is the Cold Steel Goldeneye. We have a blade length of 3.5 inches, overall length of 8 3/8 inches. The steel is S35VN. It weighs 4.1 ounces. Blade thickness 3.5 millimeters, and the handle is 4.4 7/8 inch on the handle. This model came out in 2017. And I've watched some different reviews of this. I'll put some links to them up there. Jimmy Slash, Kevin Cleary, quite a few different reviews of this. GP Knives when they first came out. There's a bunch of them up there, but I looked at them, and one of the things that people said, oh, by the way, it came in, in the box with the plastic in there, and this is one of the type that doesn't have a separate pocket clip. Now, this is usually what people ding this knife for. Is first off, it's not deep carry, and it's a golden color clip. Now later on, Cold Steel came out with the silver eye, and this gold stuff here tends to wear off when people start using it. It brushes off, so it's not a permanent thing. Same way with the pocket clip. I've heard you can just take like Brasso or something like this and shine it, and it'll just turn into a steel one for those that don't like it. I don't mind it. I mean, we'll leave it in there. Alright, so the opening is, this is a Andrew Demko design knife. So the opening is what he called an HRT. You can see it's not just a little hole like a Spyderco. It's ramped. I don't know if I can just focus on this. It's ramped so that it starts off small and gets bigger. Kind of like if you've ever seen a Kershaw or used a Kershaw blur, the way they have their thumb stud ramped like that. But the material is not super grippy. It is grippy, but it's more like a medium textured G10. And it's a back lock. It's a triad lock. And we'll get into that, because that's usually my here's my thought on Cold Steel knives and their triad lock. Yes, it's nice to have a really strong lock on a knife. That's one of the things you don't want on a locking knife, is for it to fail. But that's usually what doesn't fail on a knife whenever you test it. Is usually not the lock. It's like the grips or the blade or something else breaks before the lock does. But the thing about a triad lock, what makes it extra strong, is you've got to really push. Like most lockbacks, if you push this much, and there's a lot of resistance to it, you've got to really push to get it to disengage, because here's part of that lock. There's that bolt in there, and so you have to overcome more distance. I mean, the thing has to come up higher. Now, some people say the way that you can reduce tension on this lock, besides taking it apart, I don't want to do that, is and I've tried this before, it helps a little bit, is leave it partially open so that you're stressing that back spring a little bit. But of course, this is pretty strong metal, so it's not like your coil spring, where you can just do this, cut a coil or something and lighten it up. But anyways, you leave it like this overnight, or for a while, you know, and then you just basically play with it, and then they work in. So what I'm saying is, this knife has the original edge on it. It's like all these other ones that I have. They're like a brand new knife, perfectly centered. I like it. I like the if you're doing a thumb stud opening, you're putting all that pressure. It's kind of like a high heel on your thumb, and yeah, it's no big deal. Here's another thing I'm thinking about, or had been thinking about, is what are you going to use your knife for? Are you going to sit there and just use it as a fidget knife? I mean, you can do that, but a lot of times these triad locks are not going to be like something you just sit there and fidget around with until they break in. At first, they're going to be pretty hard, you know, like, I'm no wimp, but I mean, every time, it's like a negative reinforcement. If every time you do something, you get pain doing it, yeah, you know, it's like conditioned reflex. You're not going to see the imprint. You can see where the lock was. So, yeah, that's no big deal, you know, because if you open, as long as you can open it one hand, getting it closed real quick has never been a real big issue with me, and I can close it one hand. I mean, like this. What I usually do is I start the lock. I try to break it on my, you know, like on my leg or, you know, on some surface, and you can open and close it one hand. But to safely do this, supposedly you get your finger up here into like this first choil area, and you push back here. Well, geez, man, like I said, I'm getting old and everything, but man, you're having to exert quite a bit of force, and it's just not going that way. I have to get back here to lever it and push down real hard. Then shake it, you know, shake it, baby, shake it. And then doing that, look at that. See, that's how much force I've got to do on that. So, like I said, I'm not a wimp or anything, but if this is not going to be a fidget knife, you know, it's going to be a work knife. And you can have other knives, you know, that are fidget knives. Now here in comparison, this is Spyderco Delica, all right? It opens up fairly easily and everything, but I'm still on the same dent. But it's much easier for me to activate one hand. Yeah, this lock is not going to be as strong as this one. And this knife is, you know, it's comparing like apples to oranges, because this is more of a medium-sized knife. To me, the way I usually do knives is I don't expect one knife to do everything. You know, if I'm carrying a knife, I'm usually carrying more than one knife, and usually more than one different size of knife. So this would be the medium to large, you know, size of knife. But if you're worried about coming out fast and everything else, I mean, this is what I usually carry for my big knife. You just push this button here. It don't hurt. And you got a nice big baby blade. Yeah. So, as far as like if this is a disadvantage where it doesn't open up that fast or doesn't close that fast, well, I'm not going to be using it, you know. I don't intend to use this as a self-defense weapon. It could if it had to, you know. And then the self-defense weapon, you're really not worried about how quickly you can close the blade unless the cops are coming up. They tell you to drop the weapon, and then you're just going to drop it. You're not going to fit around with like, wait a minute, he's going for a gun. No, I'm just trying to close the knife, officer. Look, he's using two hands. I told you, put your hands up. Plow, plow, plow. Or if you had a Delica, if I told you to put the knife up, you go, okay, officer, no problem. See? Yeah, so could be the difference between life and death is all I'm saying in an imaginary situation. But, all right, let's get back to the knife. 3.5-inch blade of S35VN. This is really, I like S35VN. Made in Taiwan, like a lot of cold steel knives are. Taiwan is still not China, not yet. Not yet. The year is young. But, yeah, so it's a pretty cool knife. That's this nice hollow ground blade here. Nice swedge up here. I like, some people complain that, this is not much jimping up here. But if you ever choke up on a knife and you're doing detailed tasks, like carving wood or making feather sticks and stuff like that, you're going to appreciate not having jimping there, because that is annoying. Jimping is annoying when you're carving. Yeah, it's supposed to keep you from... My thumb has never slipped off. Ah! My thumb is never... That's where I'm putting all my pressure. There's no way. I already got my cold steel, like, dent from... That's why I figured it out. This is why they make this lock so hard. You're going to only see this on this channel, so this is you, the viewer, are finding out exclusive... I've discovered an inner secret of cold steel. The reason why the triad lock is so hard on this one is because it makes a natural dent on your thumb, which will line up and help you. That's your jimping right there. Your thumb becomes the jimping. But anyways, you get up here and it's nice and smooth, which I appreciate. You've got this forward finger choil area where if you maybe had meatier, fatter fingers and everything, you have a problem. I don't. This is perfectly fine. I'm not getting nicked at all by that. Here's another spot where it's nice and smooth and wide, where you can bear down on it. So those two things I appreciate right away. And then it gets more narrow down here, but then it widens up on the tip. So if you were really, worried about pushing on it anywhere, these two areas would be good areas, or 3 areas really. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this. I like this knife. Thank you, John. This is a very nice knife. And I'll be doing the reviews on the other ones. I'll just show you right here in the end here, in the end view. Let's see, straighten this camera up. This is another one he sent. Large Voyager. A classic G10 Rough Rider, and a Gerber, which is also sold by Snap-on. Like I said, I'll do each one of these separately. I think this is the model number down here. SEKG94MPKR. It's an S30V. Maybe this is the model number. Who knows? I like how they just slap numbers around. But anyways, we'll do a separate view of each one. But thank you, John, for sending all these knives. And like I said, this is the one I've been fidgeting around with and playing with. Even though it's been abusing my thumb, I've still been doing it. Because, now, it's not a matter of just like, tough it up, you're just being a wuss. There's a difference, between these locks. And if they're not user-friendly, if they don't get comfortable, or if they get to where you're painful, you've got a choice between something that's painful every time you push it. That's the reason why my knife channel started because of Jolly Peanut. I was watching Jolly Peanut, and he was talking about, how he switched from, he's got guns on his channel, and he had locks and everything else, and he was just basically saying at the time, I do what I want to do with my channel. And I thought, you know what? I'm getting burnt out on locks. I might as well start another channel and just devote it to knives. So the first knife that I bought was a Cold Steel Recon 1. And I found out that I really was more wanting a flipper knife than a user knife, at the time. So I just wanted to get into the flipper phase, where you can just sit there and I was just going to compare the Elementum to it. So, this is the Elementum. See, now, if the Elementum's blade was just a little bit longer, I keep saying this, they keep doing everything but just make an Elementum large. This is considered a golden eye or whatever, and that's not the Voyager was considered the large, but a large Elementum. Then you can also come out with an XL, because I guarantee you there are people that would want these. But anyways, this is not about the Elementum. I was just using that as a comparison, just like the Delica. And if you're into traditional knives, here's like a copper head, or Rough Rider copper head. So, yeah, each knife has a different use, and I like this knife. Like I said, I'm going to figure out something about that back spring. I know there's a way of going in and reducing the pressure, by modifying the parts, but I really don't want to do that. I haven't oiled it or anything yet, like I said, and I haven't stabbed anything with it yet. I haven't cut anything with it yet. Oh, we're gonna have to change that. This is some cardboard stock of some 20 decorative envelopes. Yeah, cold steels usually come sharp as hell. That's cardboard, but I left a fairly clean edge. Might need a little stroppage. But anyways, yeah, it's a cool knife. I appreciate the gift knife, and yeah, it'll go with my cold steel stuff. Like I said, if you're concerned about that, you can remove that. I like it. I think it goes along with this name, Golden Eye. You can always get the steel eye if you want. See, this one's already starting to lose some of its, just from me fidgeting with it. So, this thumb thing right here is perfect. It doesn't cause any pain or anything like that. Would you quit whining about the lock? Well, I just wanted people to be aware, those that don't know about it, because some people like this, like cold steel so much they won't mention any faults or any defects to it. And to me, I'm just going to mention, I call them as I see them. I like the knife. And I'll put up with the tougher closing thing, so. Man, this thing dragged out. See, that's why I knew I was going to have to do each one individually, because I had a lot to say about them. But, yeah, it's a pretty cool knife. Older design. They switched to the steel eye, which is basically an identical knife. At one time, they made one with carbon fiber, which was like $100 more. But it was just like a carbon fiber. It was the same exact knife, just $100 more. I don't know. Anyways, if you want to find out more about them, go to like Jimmy Slash's channel, and he reviewed one of these about 4 years ago. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.